So tell me about Max Weber. Weber?
Weber, yeah.
Yeah, who was he and how did you first learn about him? And what impressed you about him?
He's a German sociologist. That's why it's pronounced Weber rather than Weber or Weber or something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a German, so he pronounced it. He was born in around 1856, I think, and died in 1920. He is probably the greatest German sociologist uh, ever.
And that's uh, based on what? Like based on what metric is his greatness?
Well, he's most famous for a book called The Protestant Ethic and the Rise of Capitalism, which argued that the rise of capitalism occurred because of belief systems in Protestantism, specifically Calvinist Protestantism, and not simply because of economic factors. So he's often considered the sort of bourgeois counterpart to Marx, because Marx argued that the capitalism, Marx was the first and one of the most brilliant theorists of capitalism, and he came out with his uh, works just before Weber's rise in the late 19th century. I think he died quite early in the 20th century, or maybe late 19th century. And Marx's theory was that materialism was the dominant force in history. In other words, that economic factors were the prime cause for the rise of capitalism and for the rise of the working class and so forth. And the working class was the pioneer in a revolution. The working class would arise in a revolution to overthrow capitalism because of the way that capitalism evolved. It systematically deprived working class of their the amount of sustenance that they needed to stay alive. I mean, it simply immiserized the working class, and eventually they saw that they had a consciousness. They saw that they had a consciousness of their oppression and became aware of their oppression, and then joined together to overthrow the bourgeoisie. And Weber's contribution to that was to say, well, material factors were certainly a factor, but the ideal factors, that means ideas, even
Hmm.
religious factors, were also a factor in the rise of capitalism. So he did that with the Protestant ethic, but then he went beyond that, sort of a worldwide tour of various religious ideas and how they related to economics. He studied religious ideas, Hinduism in India, Buddhism in China and Japan, and even uh, the ancient Israelites, the Hebrews. He studied them too.